Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today I'm going to be doing a Vivobarefoot Primus Showdown. So over here we have the Primus Lite Knit, we have the Primus Lite III, and the Primus Trail Knit FG. I have had a lot of asks comparing these shoes regarding their performances, so I wanted to talk about some of the key differences to note. All that said, let's dive in. All right, so now which model is best for lifting? So for more general strength work, all of these shoes can work really well. However, there are some key differences to note. So for example, over here in the Primus Lite Knit, if you're gonna be doing a lot more dynamic strength work, so like catching cleans where you're gonna be sliding these feet and catching weight, you might not like this model because with this knit upper, you can get a little bit more spillover. So if you're doing more static strength work, this model works, but if you're gonna be doing more dynamic work, I would say steer clear of the Primus Lite Knit. Now that brings me to my two favorite options for lifting, the Primus Lite III and the Primus Trail Knit FG. Now, if you're wanting a shoe strictly for the gym or even like powerlifting purposes and you plan to compete and whatnot, the Primus Lite III can work really great. This model is super minimalist, has a lot of articulation, and you get this nice active sole that has a 4mm thickness and this removable insole so you get even closer to the ground for things like deadlifts, squats, etc., where you want as much ground feedback as possible. Now, the Primus Trail Knit FG can also work in that context, and the main difference to note with this shoe is that you have this quick draw lacing system, but you also have slightly thicker lugs, which do great with grip on turf. So if you are somebody who is regularly lifting on like turf or surfaces where you're gonna want a little bit more bite with your shoe's sole, I would say go with the Primus Trail Knit FG. And then for everybody else, and what I would say is probably like the vast majority of folks looking into one of these models for lifting, the Primus Lite III is a really solid option. You get a nice level of width, articulation, and breathability with this model. All right, so now which model is best for versatile training? So these are gonna be sessions where you're blending stuff like HIIT, plyometrics, athletic style training, and then also lifting all together in a singular session. Which model is going to perform the best? So similar to our lifting section, I would actually say steer clear of the Primus Lite Knit. Because this model runs long, you can slide in this toe box too, but also you don't have as much lateral support. So for multi-directional exercises, for example, I think you can have more spillover in this model because this knit does stretch so much. Now that brings me to the Primus Lite III and the Primus Trail Knit FG. Similar to my lifting section, if you're gonna be training outdoors or on turf and you want a shoe that can give you a nice security through the upper, but then also a lot of bite with the sole, I would say go Primus Trail Knit FG. Honestly, this shoe is probably one of the most slept on shoes for training from Vivobarefoot, and it's not even technically designed for that because you get so much bite with this shoe's sole. So for things like broad jumps and skater strides, I have thoroughly enjoyed this shoe, and unlike the Primus Lite Knit, you only have knit here through the forefoot and midfoot, and you have synthetic overlays to the midfoot and toe box, so you do get more security and a little bit more support, which I personally really like. In the Primus Lite III, this model also works really well, and I describe this shoe as like a really good like athlete-friendly shoe because of its articulation and its overall breathability, and you do get a little bit more upper support with the toe box in this shoe and the midfoot. So I think if you're gonna be training mostly on rubber gym floors and you want a shoe for versatile training, go Primus Lite III. But if you're gonna be varying the context and the floor surfaces that you're gonna be training on, or even working out outdoors, I would say go with the Primus Trail Knit FG. It is a really solid shoe for versatile training. All right, so now which model is best for running? So all of these shoes can work for more casual runs. So if you plan to sprinkle a little bit of running into your normal weekly workouts, all of these shoes can technically work. However, I definitely have a favorite of these three. So with the Primus Lite Knit, the shoe works well. However, once again, the upper security in this model I think is the main limiter, especially if they do run long. For example, when doing sprints in this shoe, I don't like how much room I have at the end of this toe box. It doesn't feel as snug in the context of what I want my shoe to feel like when doing more dynamic sprint work. The Primus Lite III works pretty dang well. You do get a little bit more security through the toe box of this shoe, and if you're gonna be doing runs on a treadmill or at a track, this model can be an awesome option, especially if a big bias of your training is for lifting. Now, my favorite shoe for running is the Primus Trail Knit FG. And so with the Primus Trail Knit FG, this is my favorite model up here for running, and that's because it does have the widest range in the context it can excel. So you can use them on the track, you can use them on the trail, you can use them on a treadmill, and then also on the road, and the 4mm lugs don't get too overbearing. So I think if you want a shoe for running on different surfaces throughout your week that can be really dynamic, the Trail Knit FG works really well. However, if you don't necessarily want a trail focused shoe, go with the Primus Lite III. I think it's gonna be a better bet for running compared to the Primus Lite Knit. All right, so now which model is best for daily wear? So all of these shoes can work pretty dang well, and I wear all of them for daily wear. However, I do have two favorites up here. So for more casual daily wear context, I typically reach for the Primus Lite Knit. With this booty style construction, it's super easy to slip on, and I like the way the knit breathes for different wear contexts, plus it looks pretty good. So I think if you're wanting one of these models for a very heavy casual wear bias, the Primus Lite Knit can be an awesome option to explore. Now, if you want a shoe for daily wear that can also work for things like outdoor walks on trails and whatnot, the Trail Knit FG is going to be your best bet, obviously by the name, but this model looks pretty good for daily wear as well, and it has that booty style construction so you can slip it on with this quick draw lacing system. It makes it really easy to do so. So I do like that about the shoe, and I also like that you get thicker lugs. So if you're wanting a daily wear shoe for a little bit of everything that can also look pretty good, go Trail Knit FG. And then if you're wanting a daily wear shoe for more casual settings, wearing to work, etc., the Primus Lite Knit can be an awesome option. So when it comes to the sizing and fit of these shoes, they all size pretty similarly. So if you have a neutral width or wide foot and you're not a half size, I would suggest going true to size in these models. I don't think width will be an issue for most folks. And now that being said, if you have a narrow width foot or you are a half size, I would suggest sizing down versus sizing up. Since these models typically run a little bit long, I think sizing down can be a safer play for narrow width feet and half sizes, because I think they will still give you enough length and width at the toe box without having it be too spacious if you were to size up. So when it comes to the price of these models, you can expect to pay $160 USD for the Primus Lite III, $170 USD for the Primus Lite Knit, and $180 USD for the Primus Trail Knit FG. So those are definitely higher price points, and that's why I highly suggest making sure you align with each shoe's performance before investing in one, because they are more expensive. And as somebody who has bought all the shoes for reviews, if you could find coupons, that is definitely a good play. And if you want to support that Fitfriend, I believe I do have one for the channel. It's Jay Bully, it's down below, but obviously search around for the best coupon for your needs, because I am big on saving money, because that's exactly what I do. So use the coupon if you want, or find a better coupon. Either way, if you can knock the prices down for these shoes, I do think they are worth it, especially if you align with their performance. All right, so now let's cover some construction differences between these shoes. So when it comes to their sole constructions, you can expect a similar sole over here in the Primus Lite III and the Primus Lite Knit. In these models, you get the active sole from Vivobarefoot. This is a sole that has this hexagon tread and a 4mm stack height. Over here in the Trail Knit FG, you get the firm ground sole. So essentially you have 2mm of thickness with this, and then the sole has 4mm lugs. And so you can see that it's a little bit more aggressive with how those lugs kind of protrude off the sole of this shoe. So that is one key difference to note between these shoes, and that's why the Trail Knit FG has more bite on more aggressive surfaces. Another difference to note is their upper construction and their lacing system. So over here in the Primus Lite Knit, you have this knit material that extends from the forefoot, midfoot into the heel. This is your more lightweight shoe. It has the most stretch to it, and you have a booty style construction. In the Primus Lite III, you have a traditional lacing system, a mesh upper up here in the forefoot, and then you have synthetic overlays covering the toe box, midfoot, and heel. This model has 4 core eyelets and a 5th back here for lace lock, and the tongue is this thin mesh material. Over here in the Trail Knit FG, you also have a knit upper that extends from the forefoot into the midfoot and then back here into the heel. That gives it this booty style construction, but you have heavier synthetic overlays compared to the Primus Lite Knit for trail use, obviously, and outdoor use, and you also have this quick draw lacing system. So that's why I also like this model a little bit better regarding its upper security compared to the Primus Lite Knit. And so if we look at the weight of these models' uppers, this is going to be your lightest, this is kind of the middle ground, and this is going to be the heaviest. And that kind of wraps up the main differences between these shoes regarding their constructions. All of them are pretty simplistic in nature, and I have individual reviews on every single model where I dive deeper into the constructions of those models. So if you do want to get more granular and in the weeds with that, definitely check out those individual reviews. All right, guys, that wraps up this Vivobarefoot Primus Shoe Showdown. Hopefully I was able to answer some of the questions that you might have had with these shoes and which is best for you. If you have additional questions on which model you should go with or which model aligns best with your overall needs, drop a comment down below or reach out to me personally, whichever you prefer. Also, hit me if you have questions on sizing, because that is the majority of comments that I get on my Vivobarefoot shoe reviews. But as always, guys, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.